Welcome back to TransZen Explorer. I'm your friendly neighborhood YouTube crazy person, Caitlin Thompson. And in this video, I'm gonna educate you on the benefits and dangers of Phenibut. Now, I'll be going over Phenibut's mechanism of action, appropriate Phenibut dosing instructions, what to look out for Phenibut withdrawals, and I'm gonna be sharing my personal Phenibut experience with you all. So be sure you stay till the end where I share with you some good alternatives to Phenibut for anxiety for those of you that maybe don't wanna be in the tricky territory of Phenibut. Now, Phenibut is a pharmaceutical used in Russia, Ukraine, Belarus, and Latvia for conditions such as anxiety and promoting sleep. It's also been used for helping those who are tapering off of alcohol and experiencing withdrawals, PTSD, depression, and vestibular diseases. It is considered a central nervous system depressant. Phenibut is a GABA analog that is derived from GABA itself and binds to GABA B receptors, which is unlike normal anxiolytic medications such as benzodiazepines, barbiturates, and alcohol, which tend to bind to GABA A receptors. Phenibut does increase dopamine transmission, giving it a way more stimulating effect than most sedatives. It also has a high affinity for the alpha to delta subunit of voltage-gated calcium channels. And this high affinity for the alpha to delta subunits is way more than the affinity to the GABA B receptor, which has led many researchers to speculate that the alpha to delta subunit binding may actually be the predominant mechanism of action that gives Phenibut its effects. Phenibut is usually taken orally, either as powder or capsule form, and it's pretty well absorbed and well tolerated by most people's bodies. Now, usually it takes a couple hours for the effects of Phenibut to come on, and a lot of times people can be impatient and maybe take a second dose thinking the first one didn't work when really they just needed to wait a little bit. So this is something you want to avoid because you don't want to have an accumulative compounding dosage of Phenibut circulating in your system. Phenibut lasts up to 36 hours, so if you've taken a dose already, you want to wait at least 36 hours before you take another. Phenibut is reported as one of the most effective nootropic substances for acutely managing anxiety and sleep disturbances. You can take it a few hours before bed and will oftentimes have a deep and restful sleep. Infrequent and low doses of Phenibut may be sustainable for managing anxiety in some individuals. Now, some people do use Phenibut recreationally as they like the Phenibut high that's euphoric and has effects similar to alcohol. Phenibut does show addictive potential, especially in those with frequent and heavy use of it. Phenibut withdrawals have also been reported to be incredibly uncomfortable, though things like frequency of use, dosage, and individual chemistry will ultimately dictate whether you have Phenibut withdrawals or not. Phenibut withdrawals have been reported by some people to leave you in a worse state than when you started the Phenibut. So this is something to keep in mind if you're planning to use Phenibut for depression or anxiety. It's possible that once it wears off and you experience a rebound or withdrawal, you might feel absolutely emotionally crippled and in a worse spot than when you originally started to take the Phenibut for your depression and anxiety. So be very mindful that this is usually a short-term acute intervention and is not really a sustainable way of managing anxiety for most people. Currently, Phenibut is unscheduled in most countries, with the exception of Australia, Hungary, and Lithuania, all of which who scheduled it as a controlled substance within the last 2 years. Withdrawals are a very real concern, and overdoses on Phenibut can result in unconsciousness. However, there's never been a documented incident of someone having death as a result of Phenibut. Phenibut side effects include nausea, dizziness, headache, sedation, agitation, anxiety, or allergic reactions such as rashes and itching skin. It's also really important not to mix Phenibut with any other sedative drugs such as alcohol, benzodiazepines, opiates, anti-anxiety medications, or anticonvulsant medications. A typical range of dosage is anywhere between 250 milligrams to 1250 milligrams, with 250 to 500 milligrams being a low dose, and anything over 1200 milligrams would be considered a high dose. If you are going to experiment with Phenibut, my recommendation is to take it real slow and start with a low dose. Take your dose and do not take a second one until at least 3 or so days after your first one. That way you can have time to properly evaluate if that dosage was good for you, if you're going to experience rebound or withdrawal effects, etc. You don't want to take Phenibut days in a row or on a daily basis because it does have a compounding effect because it is so long lasting. I personally don't recommend taking Phenibut more than 2 times per week. So my personal Phenibut review is somewhat unremarkable. I've only really messed with it a handful of times, probably about 10 or so, and it was fairly consistent every time, which is why I feel like I've formed enough of an understanding of how my body works with Phenibut to make a decision on whether I want to use it or not. So when I've taken it, it's always been in situations where I really needed some sort of disruptive intervention, where I was having severe anxiety or severe insomnia, where I just needed a break and, to get a good night's sleep and start to disrupt this patterning of spiraling down. And so when I've taken the Phenibut, I always sleep amazing, like sleep like a baby, which is a big deal for me. I'm kind of a crazy sleep person. And then for 2 days, I feel great, calm, centered, yet clear, focused, mellow. I can sleep well. I'm not in pain. It's really quite fantastic. But consistently, after my 2 days of euphoric bliss, I would then have that crash, that infamous Phenibut crash or rebound or withdrawals, and I would get very anxious and very uncomfortable. Obviously, I started out anxious, which is why I had taken the Phenibut in the first place. So it was a bit hard to tell if the stuff was just wearing off and then my, original state was resurfacing. But the consistency of the timing from the dosage across all of my experiences really leads me to believe that I was experiencing rebound and withdrawals on a consistent basis. So for me, personally, I don't mess with Phenibut a lot because I found that was an unsustainable consequence of using Phenibut. And so I don't have it as part of my normal regular supplement routine, but I do have it as an option when I do need a more severe and disruptive intervention like I was describing before. That being said, it's not something that I use regularly or think that my body would do with regular ingesting of it. Eventually, I came to the conclusion that I was likely probably experiencing rebound effects based on the consistency throughout all of my experiences, and made the decision to not really have a regular way of engaging with Phenibut in my life because I felt that there were other things that were more sustainable that could do just as good of a job as helping me manage anxiety. So if you are like me and the euphoric effects of Phenibut just aren't worth the rebound, don't fret. I have an alternative to recommend to you. This is TransZen. Ding, ding, ding. This is our best-selling product at TransZen, and it was formulated by me, and it was designed to produce feelings of relaxation and calmness by balancing your brain chemistry and allowing you to come back to a state of homeostasis and brain health. It contains 17 scientifically studied ingredients for calmness and happiness, including L-theanine, lemon balm, passion flower, ashwagandha, 5-HTP, magnesium, and more. And if you want to give it a try, there's a link below in the description. You can get 20% off your first purchase. And I kid you not, this is my favorite supplement, which is very convenient because I have a near unlimited supply of it because it's my baby, it's my creation. But I think you'll like it too. So if you're seeking something to help you manage your anxiety in a way that's sustainable, safe, and effective, consider checking out the TransZen, because this will never give you withdrawals. It will never become addictive. It's safe, sustainable. You can take it every day. And the idea is that this will help you heal your brain so that someday you don't need it. I'm not trying to get you from one antidepressant to the next. This is meant to help you move towards healing and to be a supportive ally in helping motivate you to make permanent lifestyle changes that lock in your wellness forever and ever. So give it a shot. You can find the link below. And if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe so that I can send you more awesome content that helps you be the happiest and healthiest version of your awesome self. I love you guys, and I'll catch you next time. Mwah, smile on, my warriors.